I can get started. This meeting of the Access Academics and Student Success Committee is called to order. Thank you all for being here, and we would like to thank TBR for hosting us. Let's start with calling the roll. For those joining virtually, just a reminder to please state whether there are others present in the room with you. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye, and I'm alone in the room.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Here.
Commissioner Scarlett, Commissioner Wood,
Here.
are you alone?
I'm alone in the room.
Secretary Hargett, Commissioner Morrison.
Here.
Chairwoman, you have 5 voting members present and 6 members present.
Thank you. Next is the adoption of the agenda. I will entertain a motion and a second to adopt the agenda for today's meeting with no, excuse me, wait for that, I'm jumping ahead. Get excited here. Do I have a motion? Second? No objection. We will take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett. Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
The next item is public comment. Dr. Gentile, have we received any requests for public comment?
Madam Chair, there is no request for public comment.
Thank you. As far as approval of minutes, we have the minutes present from last meeting. With no objections or questions, I will entertain a motion and a second to adopt the minutes, from November 12th, 2025. We have a second. There we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right. So with no objection, we will call roll. Madam Secretary?
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett. Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
Thank you. And I'd like to take just a minute to thank Commissioner Ragsdale. I know I said thank you earlier, but for filling in for me in my absence in November, so thank you. Let's move ahead to the first item of our agenda is the post-secondary education authorization. Dr. Stephanie Bellard-Chase, Senior Director of Post-Secondary State Authorization, will provide an overview of the post-secondary education authorization and then answer any questions. Dr. Bellard-Chase, you are recognized.
Thank you, Chair Allman, Dr. Gentile, members of the committee. Good afternoon. The institutions that are listed in CC1A and CC1B are being recommended for regular and optional expedited authorization, respectfully. Sorry, excuse my voice. So just a little bit of information. The 3 institutions for regular authorization, none of them are accredited. However, they are all approved by the subject matter expert, which is the Tennessee Board of Dentistry. So as part of our process, we make sure that any program that leads to a registration or license that is required to work in the field, that they have approval from the subject matter expert, and all of these institutions do. The institution being recommended for optional expedited authorization is South University, located in Savannah, Georgia. They are accredited by SACS COC, and they have programmatic accreditation for pharmacy, physical therapy assistants, and physician assistants. I will be happy to answer any questions anyone may have.
Any questions? No questions or objections. I will entertain a motion and a second on this agenda item. Chair may,
I'm sorry.
no, go right ahead.
Commissioner.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? With no objection, we'll take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargit.
Aye.
Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
Motion carries. Thank you. The next items on the agenda are the new academic programs. Dr. Catherine Brackett, Senior Director of Academic Affairs, will provide an overview of the programs and introduce the speakers. Dr. Brackett, you are recognized.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Our campuses have 4 proposed programs for your consideration today. The first is a Film and Television Master of Fine Arts proposed by Middle Tennessee State University. Here to present for MTSU is Dr. Amy Aldridge, Vice Provost for Academic Programs. She's also joined by Allie Sultan, Professor in the Department of Media Arts, as well as the Dean of the College. Second is the proposed Artificial Intelligence Technology, Associate of Applied Science at Southwest Tennessee Community College. Dr. Jothany Reed, Vice Chancellor for Academic Affairs at the Tennessee Board of Regents and President of Southwest Tennessee Community College, Dr. Tracy Hall, will be presenting this program. They're also joined by faculty and staff developers. Third, you will hear from Tennessee Technological University Interim Provost, Dr. John Liu, who will be presenting the proposed Master of Social Work at that campus. I also want to recognize Dr. Sharon Ho, who is Vice Provost, and Dr. Steve Saylor, who is the Professor and Program Director. They're with us today. And finally, Dr. David Rusamano, Executive Vice President of Academic Affairs and Provost at the University of Memphis, will present the proposed Applied Science Bachelor of Applied Science, along with Dr. Russell Deaton, Executive Director of the Polytechnic at U of M. I also want to recognize Dr. Alfred Hall, who is the Director of the Polytechnic, who is also in attendance. Thank you, and I look forward to hearing your feedback.
Thank you, Dr. Brackett. So the first academic program will be from MTSU, Film and Television, Master of Fine Arts. Dr. Aldridge, you are recognized.
Thank you. It's our honor to be in front of you today to present MTSU's proposal for an MFA in Film and Television. I'm joined by my colleague, Allie Sultan, Professor of Media Arts and author of this proposal. We also have the Dean of the college with us, Beverly Keel, and we also have an Associate Dean from our graduate college. This MFA is thoughtfully designed as a 3-year cohort model with 60 credit hours and fully in-person instruction to promote the collaborative hands-on experiences expected in the film and television industry. If approved, this MFA in film and television will be the only one like it at a public institution in Tennessee. The curriculum will stand out nationally because of the specialized training students will receive in documentary film, live production, and virtual production, building upon MTSU's stellar undergraduate programs within the Scott Burchetta College of Media and Entertainment. Overall, the faculty's goal with this new degree is to train advanced professionals and people who can join them in the professorate with this terminal degree. We're always asked about alignment with the state master plan and the university's master plan, and I assure you that we're very well aligned with both. The MFA aligns up with the Tennessee plan in the family prosperity goal, as this is a low-cost program that will allow a person to increase both their skills and job prospects. And then MTSU's new 2035 strategic plan, Priority 1, is all about building the right degree programs and fulfilling the mission related to our research goals, and this does that as well. When we look at enrollment and graduate projections, we plan to begin with cohorts of 15 in years 1 through 3, and then grow to cohorts of 20 by years 4 and 5, and we imagine we'll stay at that 20 mark. Should I continue? Okay, because you're really into it. You want me to? Okay. We want to talk about the career outcomes and workforce alignment. Tennessee is now 5th in the nation in this area, and you've likely noticed that when you've just been around the Nashville area, that we're seeing a lot more work in the film and television industries. From 2014 to 2022, there was an 82% increase in motion picture and other video jobs within our state. Tennessee's Entertainment Commission projects another 19% growth in the next decade. MTSU would very much like to support the industry, and we believe that the addition of this MFA, with this addition of the MFA, we can add more highly skilled advanced workers, leaders, and educators within the field. Annual starting salaries range from $52,000 up through the mid-60s, and we will continue to work with our industry partners, of which we have many. That college is 50 years old. Then we're going to make sure that our students have access to applied training while attaining the MFA, but also we want to make sure they have plenty of job opportunities after they've received the MFA. Finally, when we look at expenditures and revenue projections, this program is predicted to operate in the black from year one. It is estimated that students will take an average of 10 credit hours a semester at an annual in-state cost of about $12,000 for tuition and fees. The John Bragg Media Entertainment Building is already well equipped with sound stages, TV studios, post-production labs, and an XR stage. Our graduate assistants will begin in year one and will support undergraduate instruction, as well as allow graduate students opportunities to teach, which is especially important for those interested in the professorate as a career option. We will hire a part-time assistant in year two to help the program director with administrative responsibilities, and one new faculty line is anticipated in year four, contingent upon meeting enrollment goals. I am happy to take any of your questions. Our Professor Sultan's also here, Dean Keel. We're happy to entertain any questions that you may have about this program.
Do you have any questions for Dr. Aldridge? Secretary Hargett, excuse me.
Thank you, ma'am. So I do have a question. I think you lightly touched on this, but would love for you to expand on a little bit more, talking about some of the developments in AI and other technological advancements that are in the workplace, that are in that sector right now that we need to be training students to be able to meet the needs of the workforce.
Professor Sultan, you want to take this?
About AI. Hello, everyone. I'm Professor Ali Sultan. I have to say it's a real thrill for me to be talking to you today because we have been working on this for a long time. It's a great question, and actually we've created an advisory board of working professionals in Middle Tennessee to advise us on things, and that was their big concern also, is how are we going to incorporate AI into this program, because we are preparing practitioners to go into the industry. And AI is a big question mark, but I think what would be wise is to learn it and learn the tools that it's providing us now. Learn AI with also an understanding of how to be responsible with it, and to use it as a creative tool instead of a way to just make a work that is simply generated by computers. I believe, and I think that our students are passionate about being a creative producer and not necessarily letting a computer do the work. But we do have faculty that are diving deep into AI that are going to bring this to their courses. And I imagine we will find a way to look at AI tools as they evolve and work them into classes like editing and screenwriting. But I don't want our students to miss out on that creative spark that we're trying to build in them to become the leaders of the stories of the next generation.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you.
And I believe Commissioner Perry has a question.
It's not really a question. I just want to say what a cool program.
Thank you. I like that question.
Easy one to answer.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, no further questions or objections. The chair moves for approval. Do I have a second? Right. Any further discussion? With no objection, we will take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett. Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Thank you.
Please apply. You want a career change?
Our next item on the agenda is the new academic program from Southwest Tennessee Community College, Artificial Intelligence Technology, Associate of Applied Science.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So glad to see you all here at TBR. I'm joined here today by President Tracy Hall and Department Chair Dr. Jaggers as well. It is my pleasure to present to you all Southwest Tennessee's Community College's proposed Associate of Applied Science and Artificial Intelligence Technology. This will be a first of its kind in Tennessee and the first comprehensive AAS and AI designed for community college learners. AI, as we know, is rapidly transforming industries, including transportation, healthcare, manufacturing, logistics, and business operations. Employers are increasingly seeking professionals who can apply AI tools to automate processes, analyze data, and employ intelligent systems responsibly. This program prepares students not just to understand AI, but to apply it across multiple industries. This 60-credit degree is structured as 15 hours of general ed, 15 hours of major core, and 30 hours of AI-focused coursework. There's also an embedded 18-credit-hour technical certificate in AI, allowing students to earn a stackable credential on this pathway. There's also pathways for dual enrollment for high school students and planned articulation agreements with four-year university partners. Planned implementation is fall 2026 at the Macon Cove campus. This program does advance the state master plan by strengthening its talent pipeline by offering a relevant, high-value credential in a priority industry sector and aligns education directly with the workforce, with labor market demand and employer expectations. This degree also reflects TBR's focus on workforce readiness and aligns to the college's mission to provide accessible, high-quality education tied to economic development. This program simply strengthens Tennessee's workforce pipeline and positions our students and our state to compete in an AI-driven economy. Student demand and workforce demand are clear. In a survey of students in related IT and business programs at Southwest, more than half said businesses needed more AI-trained professionals, and nearly half would pursue a standalone AI degree. Developed with guidance from Intel's AI for Workforce initiative, and the American Association of Community Colleges, and supported by the Greater Memphis IT Council, CompTIA, and regional industry partners, this program is designed for direct workforce alignment. Graduates will gain applied AI competencies in systems development, data analysis, automation, and industry-focused AI solutions, preparing them for roles such as an AI developer, an AI trainer, data analysts, AI specialists, and computer systems analysts, with entry-level wages starting at $51,000 and going up to $111,000. AI is one of Tennessee's fastest-growing workforce sectors, with projected growth up to 59% for data scientists, 23% growth statewide for computer systems analysts. There are currently 700 annual openings for that role, and more than 400 AI-related job postings currently in the Memphis region. There are major investors. There are investments from xAI's new Memphis data center and Google's planned West Memphis facility, further reinforcing the sustained demand. This program positions us to meet both student aspiration and employer need in one of the most strategic growth sectors of the state. I'm happy to provide an overview of the enrollment, revenue, and expense projections for this program. These program reviews are conducted by a committee of individuals within the academic data and finance offices at TBR in partnership with the academic team at THEC, and includes multiple stages of review. This AAS degree will be funded through annual state appropriation and tuition revenue. This chart shows revenue and expense estimates as well as enrollment and completion projections for years 1 through 3. Reading this chart from left to right year and top to bottom, expense, revenue, and then enrollment, you will see in year 1, expenses estimated $108,000. Of that, $29,000 is one-time non-recurring, and the $78,800 is recurring. The non-recurring costs includes PC upgrades as well as smartboard and server upgrades to provide enhanced processing power for machine learning and AI workloads. The recurring costs include one full-time program coordinator who will also teach in the program marketing, and licenses for AI-specific software, development environments, and data science tools. The other recurring category of $2,500 will fund faculty professional development, industry partner activities, instructional supplies, membership subscriptions, and minor software maintenance. Looking forward to year 2, the recurring costs include the personnel previously mentioned, with an adjusted cost of living increase, as well as a minimum consumable operating budget and travel budget to cover accreditation travel that's required. Going to year 3, it includes the original personnel costs plus the addition of one adjunct faculty member to support projected enrollment growth and minimum travel and operating. As you're aware, the enrollment projections drive the tuition revenue projections, and you may notice the loss in year 1, which is often common for new programs. But as you can see, by year 2, the projections show a positive bottom line once the non-recurring equipment drops off. These financial projections account for faculty and instructional staff, information technology, marketing, and other. For faculty and instructional staff, again, that projected recurring costs will include approximately $66,300 for the program coordinator, with those adjunct faculty costs anticipated beginning in year 3 and increase in years 4 and 5. Excuse me. IT cover costs licensures, AI development environments, and again, those data tools that we talked about. When we look at the area for marketing funds, we will look to support program promotion, outreach, and operational needs, including advertising, promotional handouts, and potentially a video to help us promote this on social media. This leads me to the enrollment projections. The program begins with an initial cohort of 16 full-time and 4 part-time students, totaling 20 students in year 1, with a full-time equivalent of 18, and increasing years 2 and 3 to 36 and 54 FTE respectively, with projected graduation numbers at 8 in year 2 and 16 in year 3. This progression demonstrates steady program growth, retentions of students across these cohorts, and a clear pathway to graduation, aligning with these workforce demands. The starting cohort was chosen to ensure a manageable and effective launch of this program. Beginning with the smaller cohort allows faculty to provide that personalized support and attention to ensure student performance and curriculum effectiveness. In year 2, the program grows as the first year cohort continues, combined with a new cohort resulting in 32 full-time and 8 part-time students, for a total of 50 students and an FTE of 36. For year 3, this program reaches 48 full-time students and 12 part-time students, totaling 60 students with an FTE of 54, while the first 2 cohorts began graduating, producing 16 graduates. At this time, President Tracy Hall will make a closing statement, and then I can work with President Hall and again Chair Jaggers to answer any questions. President Hall.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Thank you so much for considering our program. We are so excited at Southwest. We are focusing on pathways to prosperity. And one of the things that we talk about all the time is how do we move our students out of poverty? And when we look at programs, we are focusing on high impact, high wage careers. We know that in our region, we have dealt with generational poverty. And how do we do that? What we feel is that education is not about graduating students into poverty. We have to look at our programs and make sure that when they graduate, they're able to take care of themselves, their families, and their communities. We believe that this degree is the right program at the right time. It is not a program of the future, it's a program of the present. And we thank you for your consideration of our program. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioners. At this time, we're happy to take any questions.
Do we have any questions? Commissioner Morrison?
Thank you. Thank you. I couldn't agree more. It does seem like the right program for the right part of our state at the right time, particularly with everything that's happening in Memphis. My question is a little bit selfish because I'm thinking from the K-12 standpoint as well, but to Secretary's comment earlier, I love the idea that you'll have a standalone program in AI. I'm curious how else you're thinking about integrating AI across your other community college offerings in the same way that we're trying to think about in K-12 computer science updates, but then application across content, if that's something you can share.
Yes, I'm going to invite the Chair Jaggers to talk about that because they have looked at related programs in a relationship.
Good morning. Well, good afternoon, and thank you for having us. I am Dr. Aaron Jaggers. As far as the K-12 environment. We do have dual enrollment options, and as far as AI, everybody knows AI is evolving. So once we have this standalone program, and once the industry comes back, we do have an advisory board. Our advisory board will come back and say, hey, we need to do this for logistics. We need to do this for healthcare. And then we have the opportunity within this degree, we made it scalable enough that we can add concentrations. We can add a concentration in logistics. We can add a concentration in healthcare and maybe one in IT as the program grows.
Thank you. And I was curious, are there applications to your other community college programs? Like, you know, if you're taking a standalone course in something else besides this standalone AI specifically, are you thinking about how to integrate AI skills and knowledge for your other programs?
Not right now, but as the program grows, we.
How you doing?
And to be fair, we haven't figured this out in K-12 either. It's
yeah.
you know, but a burning question that I'm wrestling with.
So one of the key things is, and if I should introduce myself, I'm Dr. Eddie Baker. I'm the Interim Associate Vice President for Workforce, Career, and Continuing Education. Prior to this role, I was the Dean of Business Technologies that helped implement this degree or start the process for it. One of the key things we found is that this is an interdisciplinary approach that we're using because we realize that as we focus on one area, it may not be put this better, an interdisciplinary approach because what we have found is the skills translate across disciplines. One of the key things that I witnessed personally is I went to a launch of new products or new services for the healthcare industry. All were AI related, all were built by mechanical engineers with AI experience. How much experience in healthcare they have? None. But what they did have was a good set of questions to ask those healthcare professionals on how to build it. And so one of the things that we look at is in building a technical certificate, this would allow other disciplines to come in and get that technical certificate alongside their full degree.
That's great. And we'll be excited to learn alongside you because, yeah, I would imagine that would be highly applicable for other graduates too.
Let me also add to your question about the dual enrollment part. So TBR's Office of Academic Affairs has actually embedded AI competencies across 40 of the general education courses. And so that is work we have led working with our colleges and faculty over the last year and a half. And many of those, because they are gen ed courses, are offered in that high school dual enrollment space. So there is some engagement there. Also, there are actually 4 community colleges that approached me with a proposal for an AI degree. And so what we decided was letting the one who is further along go out front, and then they will duplicate that across the state. So we will see more engagement with AI across the state as well. But again, those gen ed, many of the most popular ones now have AI competencies integrated.
Thank you, Dr. Reed. Any further questions? Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. I have a couple of questions. You mentioned XAI, and you mentioned the new Google data center over in West Memphis. Do you have representatives from both those companies on the advisory board?
Let's see.
Not yet.
Okay.
As you know, the XAI is really still finishing up construction, and they haven't fully implemented a system. We've been in contact with them. Obviously, we've with their construction part of it, we've had conversations. Google has just announced it, but they're not the only ones. We've had several other data centers that are cropping up across the city. They're just not fully implemented yet. Our goal is, though, once those systems are up and running, that we can get those individuals onto our advisory board.
Do you currently have an advisory board?
No, not yet.
Okay.
Not a full one yet.
So help me understand, 'cause I think it's an exciting program, and I want to echo everything Dr. Morrison just said. Tell me, and you mentioned some of this in the presentation about some of the sectors that are affected and involved in this program. Give me some companies that you collaborated with in developing this program.
For that, I will leave it to Jacobs.
CompTIA, everybody knows CompTIA is the leader in IT certifications. We have the Memphis IT Council, and the Memphis IT Council consists of all of the CIOs in the city of Memphis. So that's the CIO of FedEx, that's the CIO of Nike. So those are people that we use as a resource for this program.
Okay, so I just want to make sure I understand that those CIOs have seen the program y'all developed and they believe it will help develop their workforce.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Can we go back to the cost projections for a second? We go back to that slide. And this is probably because I'm not understanding something, but I just want, and this has happened before. It's happened this morning, actually. Oh, God, I thought that was funny. Thank you for laughing at that. On page 4 of our materials, it shows an enrollment of 20 in the first year, 50 in the second year, and 60 in the year 3. But when I look on here, it says 18, 36, and 54. Help walk me through somebody. I bet it's probably somebody on THEC that can explain that to me, why those numbers are different.
That's the difference between head count and full-time enrollment.
Okay, thank you.
So when you look at we put our head count inside the documentation. FTE is taking the full-time and part-time, figuring up what's the average total number of credit hours that they would generate, and dividing that by 15 to come up with full-time enrollment.
That's helpful. I think somebody had explained it to me a couple of years ago, and I've forgotten it since then, so thank you very much. Should we be concerned that in year 2, looking at 36 FTEs and 8 graduates, is that a good ratio of graduates after 2 years?
So we have to account for the fact that oftentimes, and it's not unique to Southwest or unique to this program in particular, we are educating our students at such a high quality rate that oftentimes industry will pluck them out of the classroom before they are able to complete. And so this is accounting for that. Now, we still continue to work with our industry partners to send those individuals back because ultimately we want to make sure that they're able to earn a credential and they're able to graduate. Because if they don't, in the long run, it limits them in terms of professional upward mobility. However, when you are an 18 or 20-year-old student and somebody calls you and offers you a $50,000 a year job, that's incredibly motivating. And so that's a huge factor as to why we have to consider a modest numbers.
Yeah,
I appreciate
I would
that.
say it's conservative, but it doesn't cap at that. They certainly could go beyond that. But
I know it doesn't cap it at that, but that does concern me. But that answer's an interesting answer. So now I'd love for somebody to explain to me what the real world impact is on the funding formula that this student has enrolled in the program. They're progressing. I hate to say it, they crossed the goal line. They got the job they wanted. But yet, that's not going to show up as a graduate in the funding formula. So so Southwest did their job in getting that student ready for prime time to be able to get that job, but it's going to show up as a student didn't complete.
Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Thinking about that, there are a couple of ways that they would fall into the funding formula through the progression metrics. But you're right, they're not going to get the reward of the associate degree, which is the more valuable outcome. Yeah, this does, and I'm going to wade into some waters I don't know as well. So I'm looking at you, Dr. Reed. Does speak to the initiative that TBR has launched the last couple of years. I'm forgetting the name of it exactly.
Reimagining Community College.
Reimagining Community College.
And that's where we're ensuring they have a workforce credential value in that first year in case life does interrupt their progression and take them away.
That's right. So that's if they get taken away from an employer or so, could that credential then be factored into the formula in the future? I think that's part of what we need to think through more so. But it's recognizing that students are still getting an education. They're getting that bump, but they may not show through an associate degree. So I don't have a direct answer to you.
That's fine. I just think it's food for thought, honestly. Yeah. That, I don't want to see the community college punished for a student achieving ahead of schedule, if I could put it that way. Now, I have to admit to you, when I see 36 FTEs and 8 graduates, I'd be willing to bet that 28 of those are not getting hired away before their graduation. So there's some of that I know it's going to be attrition, and that plays into what you just said. But I still think that there ought to be a way that we can recognize when community colleges are helping people prepare for the workforce in advance of achieving the associate's degree.
I'll be your amen corner. I agree.
Pass the plate.
That's great.
Mr. Van Zamen, are you taking notes on that one? Thank you. Okay.
Any further questions? Dr.
Madam Chair, thank you. Dr. Reed made an allusion to this. I'll just zero in on it. you guys approve associate degrees that are new to the system, and you mentioned that this might be replicated across other community
will be,
colleges.
yeah.
Okay, following this curriculum, I imagine. So,
Yes.
okay, that's just exciting. Like, this is the time you get to see this, but we've got 13 community colleges across Tennessee. Hopefully, this will be some legs across those institutions over time.
So at this time, I'll entertain a motion and a second for this new academic program.
Move to approve.
Do you have a second? Sorry. You said, okay, all right. No further discussion and no objection, excuse me. Do you mind taking roll, Madam Secretary?
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale, Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargit. Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Dr.
Commissioners.
Reeves. Our next item on the agenda is the academic program, the new academic program from Tennessee Technological University, Master of Social Work. Dr. John Liu. Dr. Liu, you are recognized.
Thank you. I'm John Liu, serving as interim provost. Coming along with me are Dr. Sharon Hall, our associate provost, and Professor Dave Saylor in the Department of Sociology and Political Science. He has been the pillar starting this program. Can move on to, let's see this thing. The need of the program, obviously, there's a social services line of work. It's highly demanded in the state. Even more so in the upper Cumberland region. So obviously our region is fairly rural. There's a lot of social work needed. And this degree program is well aligned with Tennessee Tech strategic priorities that particularly we want to expand graduate education because Tennessee Tech has been in the R2 research university in the last few years, and we are moving along trying to get our research output and activities increased so that graduate education obviously is going to help research mission. And obviously we had a new center that was approved about a year ago called Center for Addiction Prevention and Support, abbreviated as CAPS. This program is a majority online. We typically call it a hybrid, but all the classes on ground will be offered in evenings to accommodate those working professionals. Because it's a social work master's program, we do expect a significant fraction of the enrollment will be coming from working professionals. So it's a majority online, but on-ground classes will be offered in the evenings. The program will be accredited through Council for Social Work Education. And of course, we are open to all sorts of possibilities for enrollment, which include undergraduates of any majors who are very interested in social work. Obviously, if they have the college education in social work, that even be better because they can get into the accelerated advanced standing option, which requires only 30 credit hours. This master program requires regularly 60 credit hours. Be honest, as a biologist, I was initially quite surprised why that many credit hours, but that's a requirement of accreditation agency, so 60 credit hours regularly required. Enrollment projections, for graduate program, we're quite excited. We think that at Equilibrium we can have at least 80 students, and potential students are already very excited, making a lot of phone calls. So you can see it's a 3-year program, but by the 5th year, we should reach about our equilibrium level of 80 students. In terms of cost, you can see after year 3, starting year 4, it's really, the revenues from tuition sources will cover the expense. But the first 3 years, we're behind a little bit by tuition. However, Dr. Seller get a $2.5 million grant. Part of that grant is to start this master program in social work, so that grant will partially pay for this gap in the first 3 years. We will hire 4 faculty members. A couple of them are already under search, and new courses have been already developed, so it's ready to be taught. With that, any questions?
Thank you for being here today. I have a question. With a master's program, why would we not have any graduates until year 3?
I'll briefly, but I'll let Dr. Seller add it. Again, it's 60 credit hours, so it takes a lot of credit hours. And we are also having a clinical aspect of the program, so a lot of the students will be exposed to mental health clinical aspect of the curriculum, as well as, real world settings in training. So, Dr. Seiler.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. I'm Dr. Seiler. I'm a professor, as well as a program director, as well as the director for the Center for Addiction Prevention and Support. Thank you for the question. So the primary reason that we're not going to have graduates until that time is for accreditation purposes. So our timeline right now is if the board approves, if the commission approves, then we move to SAC COC, and then we will enter candidacy for accreditation, for CSWE accreditation. That puts us in line for starting students in the fall of 27, and we're taking a more prudent approach to it because we want to make sure that we are not graduating students before the program is fully accredited. Although we can start students before full accreditation, they will be retroactively be graduating from an accredited program. And so that accreditation process is notoriously rigorous, and it's rather long, but that's exactly why we're not graduating until then.
And everywhere you go these days, we hear about behavioral health, obviously, and the challenges that present. So how is behavioral health a part of this program, and how will that assist us in the challenges that we have in that area?
Thank you for that question, Commissioner. It's a critical piece to it. This, one of the things that sets our program apart is the partnership with the Center for Addiction Prevention and Support. And while this is centered squarely on the master's program today, I will tell you that our vision for CAPS is to be a hub for mental and behavioral health in the Upper Cumberland. That through this program, our goal is to not only produce graduates to go into the Upper Cumberland to work in that field, but also through the clinic, through the free mental health clinic that will be in the Center for Addiction Prevention and Support, we will have not only staff that will provide mental health therapy, but we'll have our advanced graduate students who will be able to provide mental health therapy. So we're going to have a pretty large capacity. We're already working with partners right now, even as recently as an hour ago, having conversations about how we will impact mental and behavioral health in the Upper Cumberland.
Are some of your partners hospitals, medical centers?
Yes, so Cookeville Regional is a partner. We are partnering with a number of behavioral mental health companies in the Upper Cumberland. UCHRA is one of our leading partners right now, and that's the avenue through which we aim to have students really get into the Upper Cumberland. And our goal is to not provide services just in Putnam County, but to get folks up into the Upper Cumberland so folks don't have to drive down. But yes, hospitals, mental health providers, volunteer behavioral health, and mental health co-op, Health Connect America. Yeah.
Doctor, I'm from East Tennessee and serve on the board at East Tennessee Children's Hospital. And is there a piece of this that will work with pediatric type patients and those younger folks that have needs in the behavioral health area as well?
Well, our primary, we will be providing a generalist track that will prepare students to go into those fields. So we'll have an advanced generalist track, and then we'll have the mental health and substance abuse track. The advanced journalist track will have coursework that will prepare students to go into healthcare, as well as the school system. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Great program. I mean, a definite need. I know there's some other programs throughout our state. They're similar. I see here that has the entry wages for an all required master's degree, 34,000 to 40. So what is the tuition cost? I don't believe I saw that in here. It might have been. I don't know.
You want to speak to that? I have those numbers. Okay. I can tell you the
Maybe
specific-
I'm looking at this number thinking, goodness, that's so low, right?
Sure, sure.
But the cost for the student, and then how much they'll be earning when they do graduate with a master's degree.
Yeah, so the tuition for a full-time student annually is $7,088.
Okay.
Now, one thing I would like to point out, of course, I'm a researcher and I work with statistics quite often, so my goal isn't to try to take too many issues with the statistics. But one thing I will point out, with a number of the numbers with the Department of Labor Statistics, is that they don't account for the real dynamics in some of these areas. So that actually represents both full-time, part-time. It also represents bachelor level. And so it's a combination. So the lower end of that, I was talking to colleagues last week that, in fact, those numbers represent me. I worked as a part-time therapist in the evenings. And so the numbers appear a little bit low. And while I would say that across the state, the starting salaries may be a little bit lower, but also the cost of living is much lower in the Upper Cumberland region as well.
Clarifying. Appreciate it. Any further questions? Absolutely.
Thank you. So I want to drill in that a little bit more, because I had the same reaction, but I want to make sure I understand something you said a moment ago, because I'm kind of surprised. It sounds low to me. You're telling me that annual tuition for a student in this program at Tennessee Tech University is just over $7,000?
I misspoke. Thank you for pointing that out. It's $7,000 per semester. So that would be
Okay, so-
just over $14,000 annually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. And is it a 2-year program or 3-year program?
So it is the full-time program
Yeah.
is 2 years.
Okay. So 28,000, well, obviously tuition probably not remain flat, but $28,000 investment into that. Okay.
Yes, sir.
I'm just, I'm channeling my inner Frank Watson here, for those of you who remember Frank Watson. And just trying to figure out the value proposition. And I applaud people who get in this line of work. You do not do it for the money. You have something in your heart that really leads you into this line of work. And so I'm very grateful, and it's much needed, and it's undervalued in our society. But I always worry whenever it feels like we steer students into certain programs and lead them to believe that a master's program is going to have a great ROI. So imagine that one of my children is trying to figure out what to do. They've got an undergraduate degree, and now they're trying to figure out, they want to go back to graduate school. Tell me what the return on investment is for me to send them to get their master's in social work through this program.
It's an excellent question, Commissioner. The return on investment, number one, with the master's program, upon graduation, you can sit for your licensure. Once you sit for your licensure, the job opportunities pay much higher than the bachelor's level. And then, of course, there's the licensed clinical social worker. So there's a licensure track that we will train. Our goal, one of our metrics for the CSW accreditation is the number of students passing licensure. That's an avenue into the higher end of those income, those starting salary numbers. And so the return on investment, again, this, as you pointed out, this is not the field for getting rich, but it is needed work. And so the return on investment, it comes at that master's level, at that licensure level.
How long, in your mind, how long does it take to pay back that investment of $28,000 that you put in to get your master's?
Well, many of our, a lot of our students will be in the workforce, and there's a number of state options for folks in the workforce, paying it directly out of pocket. I don't know those numbers immediately offhand. So.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You know, it's funny, a few of us are having a water cooler talk about this just earlier today about ROI, and there's a lot of talk right now in the state and across the country about valuing credentials that have higher salary, but then we start forgetting that education and social work. But to your point, just because society doesn't value it at a high level doesn't mean it's not valuable to have. But part of the water cooler conversation was, do students entering into programs that may not have the higher end wage, are they coming in eyes wide open with that? And if not, how do you provide that transparency to them? I'll just stop there.
I think that really starts at the undergraduate level with, while the program will be open to students from any major, those social work students, those human ecology students, those sociology students, there's an understanding that when it comes to social work, that it doesn't have the same salary as, the other side of campus with engineering. And so I think that is a responsibility, an ethical responsibility, quite frankly, for us at the undergraduate level, but also in the master's program, preparing for that. Now, what I'll also add is that, so we're excited about many things about this program, but one of those are the potential partnerships. So recognizing this is an issue, one of the conversations that we're going to have once this, if the commission approves this, is to start having conversations with business about how to move into entrepreneurial fields with this. Because again, it's the salaries. This is more of a systemic problem than just what we're graduating. But I think that we do have to go in. We do have to have students understand very, very clearly, up front, what the career paths are here.
Commissioner Morrison?
Yes, just one final comment to build on my fellow commissioners. Again, this is such important work, and I was glad to hear you say to Commissioner Ragsdale that you are thinking about the school-based licensure, but I didn't see your local districts listed in your community partners. I may have missed it, but I just would encourage you to really work closely with those school systems because the need starts early. Mm-hmm. That is a big area of deficit for our students and certainly a hiring need for our districts. And while not engineering salaries, many of the districts that you serve in that Upper Cumberland area will be able to pay those licensed school-based counselors, a decent living wage, certainly with a master's. So just would encourage you to make sure not to pull those people in.
If that's not addressed there, that was an oversight on my part. We have a partnership with the Putnam County Schools, in particular, that we are extremely excited about. We have school social workers throughout the Upper Cumberland, and we look to grow that. And thank you for that.
Thank you. Any further questions? Okay. No further questions or objections. Chair moves for approval. Do I have a second? Any further discussion? No objection. We will take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale, Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargett. Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next item on the agenda is the new academic program from the University of Memphis, Applied Science, Bachelor of Applied Science. Dr. Russomano, did I say that correctly? Okay, thank you. You are recognized. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon, committee members. First and foremost, thank you very much for this opportunity to appear before you to present this proposal for your consideration. I'd like to give you a little bit of background before our executive director gets into the details of the proposal. First, besides provost, I'm also a professor of electrical and computer engineering and also a former engineering dean from the state of Indiana. Back on July 1 of 2025, the University of Memphis established the Polytechnic at the University of Memphis to respond to the tremendous workforce need, not only in the state of Tennessee, but across the nation, in terms of a focus on applied technology programs. Traditional engineering programs, I have a PhD in engineering, and even at the undergraduate level, that engineering education prepares you to advance the state of the art, but oftentimes fails short in applying the state of the art. And in industry in particular, the workforce requires a continuum of talent that spans from applied technology to engineering technology to what I would call classical engineering science, engineering degree programs. Moreover, in many organizational models across the nation, you will see a separate college of engineering and you will see a separate college of technology or a polytechnic. That's the way it was at Purdue University, my former institution. However, the real world demands a continuum of talent where we don't just have engineers in one particular organizational structure and applied technologists and others that are equipped to apply the state of the art in another area. Therefore, on July 1, we created the Polytechnic, and we created as I would refer to it, as a semi-autonomous unit within our HERF College of Engineering to take advantage of not only the facilities that transcend both applying the state of the art and advancing the state of the art, but also to take maximum advantage of the knowledge, abilities, and talents of our faculty and not put up artificial silos. So having said that, as we created the Polytechnic, we created it from an existing Department of Engineering Technology that was within our HERF College of Engineering, and we created a new Department of Applied Technology to represent that very spectrum or continuum of talent that I previously described. As we developed this Bachelor of Applied Science and we were having various conversations, Dr. Hall in particular, our director of the Polytechnic, when we were talking about various scenarios by which students may have interest and want to matriculate into this program, we talked about students with TCAP backgrounds, work experience, military service. And as we went through these various scenarios, Dr. Halford said, we have a pathway for that with the Bachelor of Applied Science. So with that introduction and that context, I now want to turn over to Dr. Russell Deaton, our Executive Director of the Polytechnic, to describe more details about this very exciting proposal.
Thank you, Dr. Rusomano. I also want to thank the THEC staff, Katie and Josh, for all their guidance and support throughout this process. So, yeah, we have a Bachelor of Applied Science with 3 flexible workforce-related concentrations. The degree has 120 credit hours total. We have 32 credits of general education that does comply with the SACS criteria. We have a major core requirement of 7 to 9 credits. That includes a course on ethics and professionalism, a required capstone project or internship, and credit for an industry-recognized certification. We have 3 concentrations in construction leadership, manufacturing supervision, and information technology. Those were chosen as important to our area and the industry in our area as a point of emphasis to get started. We have 42 to 57 electives, which is, I think, important to note because we use that freedom in the curriculum to grant transfer credit from TCAP programs and applied associate of science programs, as well as to grant credit through prior learning for work-based learning experiences. And our cohort of students that we're addressing are those TCAP diploma holders, those degree holders with the Applied Associate of Science degrees. We just heard from Southwest Tennessee Community College, our good partner. We also want to have these programs be able to be double majors for our traditional students. I have a BA in English. I wanted to be a poet, and then I found out that poets really do starve. And so I got an engineering degree. But I think today, with those communication skills are in value in the workplace, and pairing it with applied technology skills leads to better job opportunities. In addition, we are working with our industry partners to try to provide pathways for their employees. Say on a manufacturing line, they're maybe looking to move into supervision and advance their careers. And also non-traditional students, adult learners in our community, to provide an accessible degree program for them to either finish their degree or to reorient themselves more for the workforce. Some of the highlights I mentioned, we have those large elective blocks, and so we are using those as what we call an occupational specialization elective. What this is we use that elective block to transfer up to 60 credits from the Applied Associate of Science degree programs. And we do that kind of on a program-to-program basis. And we're working through this, working with Southwest to do that mapping, to get the agreements, hopefully down the road once we're approved with TBR. And so, for example, the Computer Information Technology AAS degree program, that program can transfer up to 60 credits into the IT BAS program, including some general education credit, advancing them towards that degree. There are existing TCAT to Applied Associate of Science articulation agreements through TBR, which we piggyback upon to automatically give us a pathway for those TCAT diploma holders. In addition, we are engaging with TCAT Memphis, TCAT Jackson, to visit with them, talk with their faculty, to evaluate what certifications they have, what credit for prior learning we could give in addition to what's in that articulation agreement. In addition, we've put some emphasis on non-degree credentials, industry recognized certifications, and the reason for that is twofold. One is if somebody's in the workforce, has certain certifications, at TCAT they get certain certifications, we want to provide mechanisms to give them academic credit for those learning experiences. In addition, if students don't have certifications, we feel like that it's important for them to exit the BAS program with a credential that will tell companies that they can do certain things and be employed by their industry. And so we focused a lot on that. We're starting to kind of coalesce on certain target certifications that we're going to emphasize. We believe the program is aligned with the state master plan and the University of Memphis strategic plan Ascend. We are working, Dr. Hall, my colleague, is working closely with the local school systems and our university school systems to develop dual enrollment opportunities. We've been talking to the CTE education people in the high schools in our area about advertising that we have this program, that it's an opportunity for a student in high school to pursuing the career in technical education, and then maybe they decide they want to pursue a degree program, a bachelor's degree. We want to give them credit for some of those experiences and provide that path for them. In addition, I've already mentioned the TCATs and the Applied Associate of Science programs. We're working with our Center for Regional Economic Opportunity at the University of Memphis and Dr. Tracy Robinson. We have a lot of experience at the University of Memphis and credit for prior learning, and so we are trying to capitalize on that experience to go into workplaces, TCATs, other venues to give that credit for prior learning. We have chosen kind of existing curricula that came from our College of Professional and Liberal Studies, as well as our engineering technology curricula, to put together these programs. We have been focused on not putting these curricula behind the wall of calculus. And as an engineering professor, a lot of that is a big barrier. I know that for a fact. but also to provide value through our educational programs in these technical areas. The transfer pathways, we're in the midst of trying to firm those out, develop those agreements, those memorandum of understanding. And then I mentioned the credit for work-based experiences. So I think achievable, we're definitely focused on student success as well. Agile, these are concentrations. We have a lot of flexible options for students. We're after non-traditional students, students that may have families, may be in the workforce already. We're looking at online, hybrid delivery modes, and flexible curricula, flexible options for them so they can choose a pathway through our program. And we're very focused on what is the value added by our program to enable students to get a better job. We have done a pretty extensive labor market analysis to make sure that the degree programs that we're offering lead to good paying jobs and provide some extra value over maybe a TCAP diploma or applied associate of science degree. And this basically focuses on basically moving into more supervisory, project management type roles, more management type roles based upon the curriculum that we have. We also have looked at the certifications and kind of what the delta is for those certifications and what would be the benefit to our students to have them, as well as their accessibility. Not all certifications will be accessible to new graduates. There's some experience requirements, and also our ability to support it through our faculty and our curriculum. These are our enrollment projections. They're based upon the students that are currently in the pipeline in the programs that have moved from our College of Professional Liberal Studies. Kind of the graduation numbers are based upon kind of their historical graduation rates. A lot of these students are adult students, part-time students that tend to be on a different time frame. But another advantage of being in the College of Engineering, they're very difficult programs. In our college, we have focused for years on student success and improving the ability of students to get through challenging programs. We have a good advising staff, we have career services, we have an academic coach in the College of Engineering, and I think all of our programs will benefit from those resources. And then based upon our university tuition and fees and the enrollment numbers, costs for faculty and staff, those are the projected revenues for the program. And that concludes my presentation. I'm glad to take questions.
Do we have any questions?
Thank you, Dr. Dayton, for being here. A couple of things really excite me about this. I think for a number of years, we have worked on and gotten pretty good at transferring from community colleges to our four-year universities. I'm not sure we've had the same type of success going from our TCATs to other institutions. And this is really exciting because I'm one who believes that learning is somewhat contagious. After you go to a TCAT, that shouldn't be the dead end. That should just be the start. And so kudos for recognizing that.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
And then the other thing is, I think there's a huge need for folks with skilled manufacturing backgrounds and also construction backgrounds. I think so many times you learn those over a period of years by being on the job, but I think there could be some formal academic training that would sure go a whole long way toward making that successful. I'm not sure I understand the IT concentration as much, but I'm going to leave that up to the folks in the academics. I'm sure you know how that works, but this is, I think, a very exciting program that addresses a need in our state, and I see a whole lot of folks out there in the manufacturing and construction industry who are making really, really good salaries, and I think they can make even better salaries with some specialization like this.
And
So,
thank you. And we've heard that
nice
from
work.
our industry partners as well.
Any other questions? Dr. Jen.
I just want to formally state I'm happy to finally have met the other Dr. Russ Deaton in higher education. So it's been on my list for a long time.
Yeah.
No further questions or objections. I will entertain a motion and a second on this new academic program. Have a motion? Am I? Okay. As chair, I'll make a motion. Second, got it. Here we go. Kind of looking down to you because it's 1, 2, 2. Okay. At this time, we'll take roll. Madam Secretary.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargit.
Pass.
Chairwoman, you have 4 ayes and 1 abstain.
Next item on our agenda is the quality assurance funding. Dr. Julie Roberts, Chief Academic Officer, will provide an overview of the quality assurance funding and then answer any questions. Dr. Roberts, you are recognized.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here today. I know Katie, Dr. Brackett had presented previously on proposed standards, and we've been doing some work since then to bring to you today our finalized proposed standards. So just quickly as a reminder, quality assurance funding has been around for a long time, started in the 70s as performance funding. It moves about $80 million in state funds around at this time, and really is designed to assess quality of academic programs alongside encouraging continuous improvement for our academic programs. We do look at this every 5 years. We're trying to get more aligned, and then we're getting closer to our OBF, our outcomes-based funding formula review cycle. So, and this is the results. These are the results of that review. Just to ground kind of where we're coming from, what the priorities and the rationale that we took to these meetings and took from meeting with folks really are outlined here. I want to mention we have a formalized steering committee that we pulled together with representatives across all of our institutions. If you're interested in the specifics of who that was, it's in your materials. We also, though, talked to folks on the ground. So we've convened several times our QAF coordinators at all of our campuses to also get some of their feedback and input as well. So again, thinking about what we're thinking about, we really wanted to enhance the emphasis on academic program quality and student engagement. We've also, as you know, been looking at how can we evaluate programs on the front end in a way that's efficient but still gets to all of the important pieces. And so as we've been doing that, we've also been thinking, how can we look at programs holistically? So really thinking about what are those key components we look at the front end and ensuring that we're also evaluating programs with similar lenses on the back end. Lastly, we've really been trying to make sure whatever we're measuring in quality assurance funding, it's not duplicative of what's happening in the outcomes-based funding formula. So you'll see some of that as I'm going through our proposed standards. So first, I want to call attention to the fact we actually do have a small error in our materials. The standards in your materials say 2025, 2030. That was the original cycle. Once we got into doing the evaluation and really looking under the hood of what's going on, we decided we needed more time, and then this also helped align us with the review cycle for the outcomes-based funding formula. So these standards, if approved, would actually go into effect at our campuses in the fall of 2026. So you can see we've gone from 7 standards down to 3, and we're focusing those 3 standards on academic program quality, student success, and student engagement. Although we have lowered the actual number of standards, I want to emphasize the fact that we have incorporated some of these measures where appropriate into the remaining standards. I think one of the easiest ones to highlight from my perspective is general education. That was a standalone standard in the past. We heard from our partners that they really thought it would be better if we didn't, the way we were assessing it, they thought it would be better as a metric that we incorporated into some of our program review. And it was a metric that only applied to undergraduate programs. And so what we've done, though it's not a standalone standard, we are doing some evaluation through our revised program review process. We also know that most of the programmatic accreditation that we require for campuses, if it is an undergraduate program, they're going to be looking at the whole program, which includes general education. You can see we've also taken some things that we feel are somewhat duplicative out. And again, we really wanted to focus specifically on the areas that we landed. So here are our proposed standards. Again, 3 buckets. The first one, academic program quality, which we would measure via program accreditation or program review. As I mentioned just a minute earlier, any program that is eligible for programmatic accreditation, we require that they maintain this accreditation in order to earn their points with that category. Program review, if they don't have a programmatic accreditor, we require them to go through program review, which is a homegrown THEC process where campuses need to, at least once during the cycle, have every program reviewed. Katie has taken the lead on redoing the rubric and the process for that. One of the things that we have also done that I didn't mention earlier is we now are having all of our programs being evaluated through the same metrics. So we now have one rubric. Technically there's 3, but there's just some small nuances. We're looking at all of the programs through the same lens. We've worked to, like I said, incorporate some of the general education pieces in there for our undergraduate programs. But we've also made sure to include some other things, looking at skills alignment and workforce development. So basically workforce development and skills alignment. So going back to the earlier comment about thinking of the things we prioritize on the front end, how can we now also evaluate in our quality assurance funding standards? Our second area here is student success. And this is really focused on ensuring students are achieving learning outcomes for each program. We plan to measure this via major field test or licensure, really metrics that let us know what's going on in the actual programs and what the students are learning. Our last piece is student engagement and is really focused on student satisfaction at the institution level. The way that we're measuring this is through national surveys, such as the National Survey of Student Engagement, which is called NESE, or CESE, which is Community College Survey of Student Engagement. I had to write those out because I can never remember. I do, though, want to point out here something I think that's really exciting is we've asked we're going to require the campuses to add on some modules that gauge career readiness. So this is a new facet to the quality assurance funding, and so we're really excited that this will be the starting of that gauging of career readiness. I do want to mention we have made significant changes. It may not seem like that on the surface, but we really have worked hard to focus this really on things we think are important to ensuring our students are learning in the classroom. Had some conversations with folks on the commission. We've talked internally. One of the things we thought might be helpful as we're moving ahead, if these standards are approved with these new standards, coming to you annually with updates on the progression of where we are with our quality assurance funding. So I'll stop there. As you all know, I can get very in the weeds if you need to. I have Katie who can go even more in the weeds, so happy to take some questions at this time.
I think it's great that you've streamlined those standards and looking at the future, having fewer there to go through and to monitor. As far as on this slide, I'm glad we're here, and I know that you said this is relatively new, I guess, but why 10 points for the student engagement portion?
It's an excellent question, and we actually have kept that number of points. It was the same as before. One of the reasons why we have it at 10, the way that we're gauging this, and this has been a carryover, this is one of them that's probably the most equivalent to how we've done it in the past, is that we are using national surveys to gauge points here, and there are some drawbacks of using those types of surveys. We've heard from our campuses that getting students, there's some survey fatigue on campus, and so we didn't want to give this too much weight, knowing that there's some challenges just from getting students to engage, but then also some limitations with measuring things with nationally normed surveys.
Any other questions? Secretary Hargett.
So let me just throw this out there. Why give it any weight?
Well, we talked about this for several things. We feel like if we're gonna ask them to do it, it should have value. We really try to, anything we ask our campuses to do, we want to make sure that we're giving it some sort of value. And we think that there is something to be learned from nationally normed surveys. So knowing where you sit compared to your peers is valuable. Hearing from your students in the same way that other institutions are hearing from their students does have value. We just don't want to put too much value on it. Dr. Gentile. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the chair.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Madam Chair. But Secretary Hargett, thank you for asking that question. This is actually the one that I needed more convincing on why to keep it in. And because, and to her credit, their credit, they convinced me on it. This does provide valuable data to us that's helpful to know, and it's important for institutions to measure and progress and see how things are changing over time. A winning argument that came from from Dr. Brackett was, where else are we seeing students' input on what's happening being counted? Otherwise, you have seen a very streamlined proposed QAF here. The rationale, and you mentioned this, Dr. Roberts, but I'm going to put a pin on that even further. We discussed whether this should be discussed here in this committee or in the finance committee, because it does move money. It doesn't move money like the outcomes funding formula does. The reason why I wanted this streamlined was, as we have worked over time to lower barriers, we'll use barriers, to the approval process in our academic programs, I wanted this to really zero in on academic program quality so that, yes, it might be easier to get through this process on the front end. On the back end, we're going to measure that quality, and it will move $80 million in money. So that's why I had an eagle eye on student engagement, but I was convinced on talking to our academic affairs why it was important.
Secretary Hargett.
Well, you can miss the mark there, Dr. Gentile, because I really expect you to say you said it here because you're the best and brightest minds on THEC on this committee. That's really what I expected you to say. So
That's what I said.
And that's why you should be calling out people. So thank you. So all kidding aside, I appreciate that answer. It should have some weight. So, but then it begs the question, when we get those surveys, can we name one significant change we have made on a campus where we made to higher education as a result of that survey data?
And I'm going to defer to Dr. Brackett.
To have a very specific answer, I'd have to go back and dig through old reports, but part of the process for quality assurance previously was for the campuses to reflect on their performance in the surveys and to discuss potential changes. I think a lot of this is to inform, and so we leave it up to the campus to decide how do they want to leverage the data, how do they want this data to start conversations on their campus and to inform decision making. I do think that us providing some additional flexibility in the questions that will be analyzed and the addition of career readiness will really enhance what data is available to them. And I think that we are planning to offer additional supports on how campuses can use that data in conversations, merely to be supportive, not to replace the great work that their IE and IR folks are already doing. But it has historically been a part of QAF for them to create reports that reflect on their performance.
Well, I appreciate that answer. I think that's a pretty honest answer. We talk a lot of times about data, and we got to get data. We need more data, but what do we do with it? And so my point is, let's not create data. Let's not create reports if it's not going to be taken seriously. And frankly, the reason most people don't take surveys is because they think it doesn't matter. And if they think it doesn't matter, why do it? I wouldn't do it if I thought it didn't matter. So I would love to hear just one thing, and I don't have to have it today, but I'm sure there's people watching across this state on our campuses that somebody could point out something to me that they saw something in that survey data that said, we could do that better, and here's how we're going to go do that. Instead of going, all right, next.
And we'll be happy to follow up with that. I know that, I'm sure we'll have some folks eager to share.
Good question. Any further questions for Dr. Roberts? No further questions or objections. Chair makes a motion for approval. Do I have a second? Further discussion? No objection. We will take a roll call vote. Madam Secretary, please call roll.
Chairwoman Allman,
Aye.
Commissioner Perry,
Aye.
Commissioner Ragsdale,
Aye.
Commissioner Wood,
Aye.
Secretary Hargit. Chairwoman, you have 5 ayes.
Motion carries. The final agenda item is other business. If any committee member has any other business to take up at this time, I'll turn to you. Any questions or comments for the good of the group? Okay, thank you again to TBR for hosting us for our meetings today and tomorrow. Also, thank you, Commissioner Smith, for joining us today prior to your next committee meeting. Didn't recognize you earlier. This concludes our agenda. If there is no further business, we stand adjourned. I always like him sitting in. Yeah. He has such great insight.